Okay, terrific. Good morning, everybody. It's 11 o'clock. This is Jennifer Nisanoff, and I call this meeting to order. Let's all stand and say. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Let's do roll call. We'll go around. How about if we start with our newest member?
Yes, good morning, everyone. My name is Paul Flores. I'm the new Public Works Director for Gateway Services.
Yes,
Thank you.
welcome. Jennifer Nisanoff, Safety and Security Subcommittee.
John J.P. Morbido.
Rich Flowers, and Security Committee.
Marty Mantonfeld, PPAC member number 4.
Member number 7. Carol Hancock, GSCD.
Indigenous Peace Application.
Casey Haas, this committee.
Jay Gann, Safety and Security Committee.
Kelsey O'Reilly, District Manager.
Uh,
So I'm trying to get Paul acclimated with technology and computers and stuff, but he will be, you're only paying for us twice right now. But until he can get acclimated with these committees and how it's run and set up, we need a little bit of transition period, so appreciate your patience.
I like the new screen.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah,
I thank your PPCA folks, so.
yep. Okay. Thank you. Any public comment? All righty. Yes, sir.
Is there any way we can look at getting a bike path for a golf cart path over to Gateway in order to make the parks and recreation facilities more accessible to Pelican residents?
Okay. Oh, he's here. Well, we have to remove the topic. Welcome. Okay. Would you mind if we put that at the bottom of the agenda to talk about? Oh, there you are.
That's fine.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Just don't know who to ask.
Chelsea, are the sidewalks or whatever over in Gateway, are they multimodal to where all cars can go on them?
No, but golf carts do. There are spots that it does not meet the multimodal definition.
Yeah, you could actually take it all the way around, can't
Yeah,
you?
I bring it up because going out on, Tree Line, the Colonial Boulevard, and then riding my bike along State Route 82 down to Gateway is just scary.
So there's no sidewalk down there on 82?
I don't think there's a sidewalk. I didn't see the sidewalk.
Oh, okay. I thought there was one there. I guess I didn't.
It's where the
Yeah.
82 from Colonial over to Gateway, there's a sign.
Yeah, there's a sidewalk.
Oh, yeah, I ride it all the time.
I was on the
Just ride my bike on it all the time.
Yeah, just too much.
Okay. I'm putting it at the bottom. So we'll talk about it then.
Yeah, right there it is.
Doesn't make it less scary.
Yep.
True.
That's it. I don't.
Okay.
I guess. He's scared. I got him.
You got one?
Here,
Okay.
here, there you go. All right.
Uh-oh. All right. Next thing is, any other public comments? I'm sorry. Okay, next thing is approval of minutes. Anybody have any comments or updates, questions about the minutes? I just had a question because I don't remember talking about this, and it has to do with line 74. I'm looking at you, JP, because we will do an inventory of roads and then do the striping.
Yeah, we talked about
Okay.
striping on, from the roundabout at Cypress
Yeah,
to the roundabout at Prado,
right.
how those lines are all bad.
I remember that, but it was
And
the
then-
I'm sorry.
Then we also talked about somebody needed to ride in their golf carts in Matt Reed and some of those other places because the lines are very bad there too.
Okay, well, I must have saved that on that one because I didn't remember that part.
That's
Okay,
all
thank
right.
you. Anything else? All right, do I hear a motion to approve these minutes?
Second.
Okay,
Make sure
can
you say
we?
your name,
Yeah,
please.
I was just,
JP second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, approved. Okay, thank you. Financial report. Any questions or comments about the financial report?
Three-fourths of the way through.
My only question was with, well, actually, I have a question and a comment. The first one was contract security services. I'm not sure I understand the encumbered, I mean, I understand the concept, but when I looked at these numbers, it looks to me like we're running hot, but I don't really, I guess I don't understand where the 132,000 comes from,
So the actual is money out the door.
right?
Encumbered is remaining in purchase order. So we've encumbered those dollars so they can't be spent elsewhere. And that's what is, that's what's
Okay,
remaining.
that's what I thought, but when I did the math, then it was just, it seemed like it was more than should be encumbered based on the amount of time that we've had in the fiscal year.
We just renewed the contract. And so the rates could be higher from what we budgeted last year. So the timing might not have, we might be under budget in this line item because of the timing of the renewal of the new contract.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I'm assuming that's the case. I haven't confirmed that, but thinking back on, we just approved this one recently, so.
Okay, that might be the case then. Okay, thank you.
I just want to call out one thing. I think I mentioned this at PPAC. So any fund changes, any transfers from your reserves to a certain line item, we're going to do those quarterly. So when Stephen Bloom gives his quarterly financial report to the Board of Supervisors, we're going to do a budget amendment and make sure that those dollars move every quarter. Whereas in the past, we've only done one budget amendment at the very end of the year to move the money. So I know, like, especially in PPAC stance, moving money from unassigned reserves to cover some capital projects and things like that, knowing truly where we're at is important. And so we're going to be doing that quarterly.
Okay. Okay. The only other thing is, you see R&M signage. Keep that in mind because we're going to talk about that a little bit later when we talk about Aviano. So just keep that in mind. That's my comment or preview. Okay, anything else on the budget?
The only thing I would point out that isn't on here is at the last meeting, you guys approved the streetlight construction and the other street. We had to do that for the supervisor.
Thank you.
So we could look at there will be that $250,000 contribution that will be against this year's budget. So some of that is the unencumbered, the remaining balance of the security contract is 100,000, the outlay of roads is 100,000, and then you've got almost 100,000 in carry forward reserves. So depending on how much you come in on the budget, some of that carry forward reserves may be used to fund that street light. So the street light just doesn't show up on the guide. So
Good point.
I assume that's one of those budget adjustments that has to be
Yes.
added to it.
Okay, anything else? All righty, terrific. Next thing, proposed multi-year program for road resurfacing.
Okay,
Did I miss one? Do we have something for project status?
It's further down in the.
Yeah, I think
agenda.
that's in the quick
That'll
hit.
be in the quick.
Does your quick hits normally fall under project status? Yeah,
It is project
It does.
status.
okay,
yeah.
we'll move, okay, next time we'll make that sure that gets there.
Okay,
Sorry about that.
no, that's okay. We regularly move things around if we want to.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Can somebody remind me from last meeting when the guy said they were gonna start on the streetlights? Did he say next August?
I don't think it was a
Next-
commitment.
This time, the next spring, this time
Yeah.
next spring.
Next spring, he just said next spring. So we're talking April, May. Okay, that's all.
At least a year for sure, if not longer.
What's that?
At least a year, if not
It'll take
longer,
a year.
for them to even mobilize to the area, yes.
Oh, so next April, May, they'll start.
You would say spring. Spring of.
So about, yeah, close to a year.
And until the contract is signed and we pay our upfront, they don't officially put it into their construction scheduling queue, so a lot of things are tentative until the contract. is signed.
So it might not be next May. It might be later.
It depends on permitting too. They
Yeah.
had to do some homework on some permitting.
Depends on how quickly Sheldon signed the contract.
Yeah.
Other people are ahead of it.
Depends on how quick they send the contract, which I have yet to receive.
It was actually quicker than he had told us before.
Okay. That's fine. Cause I got people in Prado asking me, and I said, I think it's next spring, but I wasn't sure.
And I think from our standpoint as a committee, we would want to do it have it start after Easter.
Yes,
Right.
Yeah, like-
Right.
we did talk about that a little
Because
bit.
he was talking about feedback that might even be before that. But we would use the first meeting after Easter.
Could-
Traffic is down.
Okay. Can we be flexible depending on what the upfront stages of the project would be? Meaning,
Until it gets into their scheduling.
okay,
And then it, like anything else, it depends on the contractor availability and how many crews they have.
Oh.
It's all-
okay, I understand all that. Maybe I didn't ask the question properly. I can understand why we wouldn't want construction to start, but they might have things in their project plan that they could start working on that wouldn't be disruptive. Okay, exactly. Okay. Well, I think it's important to make that point because if we start telling people, oh, it's not gonna start until after Easter and people are out there doing surveying or something. People misinterpret things and
I would
get
just say,
cranky.
next year. Next year,
Yeah,
until we can get a better definitive date.
people have long memories around here until it's,
We don't like the age of you.
yeah, I'm okay putting that out in public. I don't have,
Don't know what that is.
oh, yeah,
That's
it's
a
being
report,
recorded.
it's a secondary report.
Oh, I thought you were warning me. It's like, I'm okay saying that in public. I say that to people who
My stuff can't be
are
recorded.
cranky. Yeah. Okay, anyway, thank you. You're on.
Okay, the next slide. Yes, Jay Gann. I've been asked to put together a
Thanks.
program for road resurfacing for the next few years. I've got a few comments. And then let's discuss. It's a proposal for projected capital outlay for the next 5 years for roads. Some of our streets, roads are almost 20 years old and it's necessary to schedule or program some resurfacing of streets in order to maintain and preserve these assets. This is the latest version, so if you had an old copy, throw it away. Had a little more time, do a little more detail. The guide and reference, I used the Gateway Roadway Asset Page List, the Tetra Tech Roadway Report, ATSM 6433 and FDOT 2025 Pavement Condition Handbooks. Also looked at the amount of traffic on roads and did a physical inspection of the roads. For 2026, first third of Pelican Reserve Boulevard, three-line to four-way stop at Benito is showing lots of wear, lots of alligator cracking, that's cracking on the wheel paths, possibly some block cracking.
Jay, use your outdoor voice if you would.
Oh,
You're soft spoken right
is
now.
it, you saw?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, sorry. Longitudinal and transverse cracking, I lost count of about 130 separate little areas. Some rattling and several potholes. It's our entryway to 2,500 homes, and we do want to project a positive impression of our community. Just reference the pictures handed out. 2027, Portofino Roads, that's the Bella Vistas. 2028, Bellagio, Vincenzo Roads. By 2029, most of the older roadway age streets, age 2012 and older, some in 2014 that need work would be resurfaced. Vincenzo, Bellagio, Portofino, possibly Trieste, and some of Pelican Preserve Boulevard resurfaced. We need to assess roads yearly. It's more difficult to project 4 or 5 years out. Cypress Grove, the ancillary streets east of Pelican Preserve Boulevard and Prado are newer and better condition. So major repairs should not be needed for several years. One more thing. And this is not not against Tetra Tech. I'm just saying that the roadway report broke the roads down in 4 categories. 4 fair, satisfactory, and good. Aviano and Ravenna Way were the last roads rated poor, and they were just resurfaced. Fair and satisfactory ratings were only separated by 1 point, so it allows some subjectivity in the selection of roads to be resurfaced. Some roads can age faster than others, depending on age, traffic, subsurface conditions, and other factors. For example, Moderita, Azura, and Julia off Cypress Grove are newer and better condition. They were rated fair, yet at the time of the report, Pelican Preserve Boulevard and Bella Vista satisfactory. Now, to me, objectively and quantifiably, I believe the reverse is true at this time. They're showing quite a bit of wear. It's not a perfect plan, so we should assess yearly, change, add, or even delay as needed. But we need to make the decision early to allow for adequate planning, bids, and off-season contract execution each year. Okay, discussion, thoughts, questions, comments?
In that yearly assessment, does Tetra Tech have input?
Well, that's a question for the committee. I mean, for me, I just went out and I ran the roads. And do we want to have Tetra Tech every year? I don't know.
Or how much it costs?
Yeah, that's one thing that cost. Their report was over 2 years ago. And things have changed, well, at least I think. The Pelican Preserve Boulevard, that first section, has really kind of broken down since, 3 years ago I moved here, and I can tell the difference. Bella Vista is another one that is showing lots of wear and cracks and so forth. A lot of these roads, you don't even see cracks, Azura, Moderita was in 2017, and I cannot find one outlet crack in that road. I looked at the report, went over every notation. It does have a little depression, but you can't see it. And it just means when it rains, it just holds a little water until it evaporates or sinks through. For the next couple of years, I think we can for sure go and do Pelican Preserve, and then like Bella Vista, and we can talk about Toronto is the oldest road according to the roadway report, a roadway asset age list. This is from I think got that from Daniel, just showing what roads were paved when.
Wow.
So I don't know what is the cost of Tetra Tech each year, or maybe in a couple more years. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think objectively, and I would urge the committee and Paul just to kind of run down these roads, and kind of keep a mental note of what's on them, how many cracks, and then compare. If we went straight by the Tetra Tech report, we'd be doing Moderita now. I don't see that. And I'd be happy to meet with you sometime, just an hour or two, to just run the roads. Get an idea. We can change each year.
Mhm.
Yes.
Does your assessment only include the paved portions? Does it include what thresholds leading to the roads? No.
The valley gutters, the concrete and the
The
drains.
subsurface material, is that what you're?
No, the pavers that go around the,
No.
Pavers.
No, I didn't.
leading to the road.
I've been on
Oh,
vacation,
oh.
so I didn't have time to, I didn't look at the papers. I know in the entryway,
Roads are sinking.
yes, by the guard tent. There's kind of a wave there, but I did not put that into.
Either
Yes,
way,
I just didn't.
either way, that would be a completely different vendor. I don't see that being an asphalt restoration vendor.
Okay,
So I think that those. If you're looking at a road, you need to look at it comprehensively. You need to look at the valley, the gutters, the road itself. And then if you are gonna have any, like if there's any concrete ribbon curbs with
oh, thank you.
pavers, and then I know a lot of your communities have those at the entrances. Evaluate that, and then, that's a similar but separate project, and, you wanna address that at the same time, because you hate to have a beautiful new road and then, crappy looking pavers, right?
right.
But I think that those almost have to be separate, but in the same conversation.
Yeah, that was one where there was a main water break on Pelican.
Oh, yep, I know,
Let's see.
yeah.
There was one or two that's got little cracks,
Yeah.
but
From a staff perspective, I would not recommend paving a road if you did, you have to touch the gutters. You have to do them at the same time,
most of the gutters are in good shape, but there are some
spots.
spots that need.
A couple of comments.
Sure.
The Tetra Tech report, one of the problems was it looked at the entire road length. So it looked at Pelican Reserve Boulevard from tree line to Plaza. And
Thank you.
9,000 feet.
Needed one assessment. But in looking at, the first stretch is the worst state of all of those, so. And that's the entrance to the community, and so we were looking at that. Based on some of the numbers that we were getting for costs of just recently, we thought we could do it, for around 300,000. Looking at Daniel, there's a couple of the storm drains that are sinking, and there might have to be some work done on some of the storm drains. Most of the curves aren't too bad. So Daniel recommended upping it to 400,000 for next year to do that first stretch as a kind of a budgetary estimate. At PPAC, we want to try to keep, we talked about some of this, we want to try to keep this at a level like 300,000 programs. So we decided to do a PPAC is for the budget, it's 400,000, but we're going to use 100,000 of capital reserves if it's needed in the budget to keep it at the 300. And in the worst case scenario, in the 27, you would pay back that $100,000 and only be able to do 200,000 worth of roads. So that's kind of to try to keep a level program going forward so that assessments don't bounce up and down and use our capital reserves to kind of temper that. The other, what else I was gonna, I had another point that just, one of the things that we want to look at, if you look at that stretch of, when we've driven to these and, and a few months ago, we looked at them and some of the neighborhoods have Bellagio and Portofino, and they've done the,
Seal coating.
top coated, sealed it to give them a cosmetic look. So one of the things I think you guys need to look at, start communicating with some of those neighborhoods, is we really don't want them to go out and spend money to seal coat the road to make it look pretty and then come along the next year and grind it up and resurface it. So we need to be doing some coordination.
That also camouflage the real problems. as
Oh, it
well.
does,
Yeah,
it does,
so that's-
yeah, that's.
The-
You know,
Like bandage.
when you just visually, it looks good, but when you really look at it, there's still a lot of cracks and everything. It looks nice and black and everything. The other thing that we need to kind of look at as we, especially, Pelican Boulevard, this first stretch, you know, we can do this resurfacing next year, and it's probably not going to, you know, the street lighting isn't necessarily going to impact it, because it's gonna go outside of the curbs and that. But in that stretch, there's a lot of problems with sidewalks, uneven, there's been a lot of grounding, so we haven't done anything with sidewalks, but might want to even look in, like, say, 27, or after this is done, after the street lighting is done, look at doing some major sidewalk repair along that, you know, Pelican Boulevard. There's places in that where
Right.
it's in really bad shape.
Good.
But we don't want to do that ahead of all the other work, so.
True.
But
Makes sense.
But next year, you know, Pelican's an arterial road, so yeah, you've got to look at everything. It's wide, you got your gutters, everything, a little more than an ancillary road like Ravina Way and Aviano. 27, you know, I just put in around, you know, 5,500 linear feet, you know, the bidding. I don't really know if they bid by street or they put in a mobilization cost for each street that they have to move across. I don't know. I just kind of grouped them together for a better price. But in 27, you know, if we need, you know, like to pay back that, we can move Trieste a couple of years later, because it's 2016 road. So we've got plenty of flexibility to do this, but yeah, next year is gonna be, you know, more expensive. I'd like to get these other roads down where you can, you know, keep it down to what the ITQ rather than doing full normal.
I think we can have some discussions on that because, like the county has solicited proposals, like RFPs out, and so, we've piggybacked off of contracts in the past. So, that may be an alternative idea instead of having to go through the whole rigmarole. Sometimes it's better to put it out yourself and leverage your existing relationships that you have with vendors. So there's multiple opportunities that we can, as we get closer to the start of the fiscal year, we can have that conversation. I did tell Tetra Tech that we'd be asking for a task authorization. So they'll start working on that towards the end of the fiscal year, and we'll get that in front of you at your first meeting after October, for your review. But really deciding how we want to proceed will kind of guide us. There might be some opportunities to save some dollars.
Question, Chelsea, my understanding is there was a strip that was along tree line that the city was responsible for, where we've got potholes right now.
The county is responsible for tree line. Yeah.
Okay, county responsible for tree line, so we can only go up to their easement when we're doing our bit?
We would have to do a right-of-way permit for anything that we do within their right-of-way.
And should they?
So these lines there, is that the county
That would be the county.
and these are ours?
It depends on where that right-of-way line it falls. Normally, it's more further in.
25.
the right of way's pretty much at, lines with the center median out there where the center median is. The right of way lane is right there, and the surface is kind of coming up, kind of half on Pelican.
That's all that, yeah.
Half on the county, so.
I always put a request for action in, let them tell me no. That's what I do.
So is that what you do, or is that what?
Residents can do that, we can do that. I always tell folks, if you report it in, we're gonna report it, but the more people who report it, the more more attention you're getting.
Pointing?
Yeah.
Tell us, give us the specs.
Just Google Lee County, request for action. And they have an online form you fill out and say pothole here.
Well, no, we want to have it be different. Okay, but it'll be the core. We'll talk.
I just want to know how much lead time we need and decision, in other words, get this done. Our best time to execute is after Easter, May. So for bids and all that, it need to be November, October.
So we have to, if we do a formal bid, it has to be out on the street at least 30 days. We would have to work through the plans with Tetra Tech. If we were to do the formal bid, you have to give them some time. They would propose on their task authorization how much time that they would need. I told them, we did a Vela a couple years ago. Let's pull that TA, let's pull those specs. It shouldn't be much redoing. It should be copy paste type thing. So, I would say with holidays too, we would start having these conversations towards the end of the calendar year.
Okay.
And then bidding would be during peak season with anticipated construction after Easter.
As we're looking forward, 2 or 3 years, like I said, 28. Things can change in 2 years. And some of it could be, 27, we could push Trieste later, pull up the Chenza Court is the drive is one of the oldest roads. But still, it's in pretty good shape. It doesn't have that bad cracks, but the older a road gets, all things being equal, the older a road, depending on traffic, break down sooner than that.
One thing we might want to consider too is late next year, have Tetra Tech look at the next 2 or 3 years worth of roads and give us their assessment of, priorities or whatever.
That's a great point, because I think if there's concerns of cost with utilizing Tetra Tech, if you're asking them to do a full-blown community assessment, obviously that's gonna cost a lot of money. If you're looking at your 5-year plan, which you should do every time we have budget, look at what you're projecting for next year, and we could say, hey, Tetra Tech, I need you to go check, these 4 roads and give us your assessment, or these 10 roads. That's a lot easier pill to swallow than the whole community.
I think it'd be fairly easy for us to prioritize.
Yeah.
Striping, just to think of it for Pelican, is that a separate contract?
No, you would include it as part of
That
that.
was part of it. That's why it's gonna be a little more expensive next year to get that done. The other ancillary roads don't have that.
Well, I would definitely do your striping as you go. I will say, I'm gonna bring it up under your project hits later. When I was driving around looking at the meter box replacement project, a lot of your stop bars and crosswalks are faded, so I did ask Mark to work on that. At least see how we do a count, and then, how, if we have a striping machine, but if you guys wanna just use paint, or if you wanna go more permanent, do a thermoplastic, which is a little more costly, but you get a longer life. But then if you're talking about paving roads here in a couple of years, so that's definitely a conversation that you guys need to be having too, as part of safety of the community. Because there were, I think I was in Matarita, and the stop bars were pretty faded.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying last month.
Oh, I don't even know if I was here last month.
Yeah. It's
Sorry,
on
mine's
the
been
agenda.
delayed.
You could scroll up to the bottom.
That's why I asked everybody before this meeting today to go ride around and look at Matarita in different places, because it's bad. I mean, the crosswalks, they see them.
Yeah, and I've got in there that we can determine if you're may need to repair like certain sections.
I like this format a lot. I think
This-
it's really clear, simple.
Copy paste this into the 5-year, so our CIP that we have at the district is part of our board pack.
Okay.
You only see 5 years, but we have a 10-year CIP. So, and again, that document's living and breathing, just like that. We can
Mhm.
copy paste your priorities in there. This time next year, as you're starting to talk budget, we can say, all right, last year we got 5,000 linear foot and that cost us X.
Mhm.
All right, we're looking at that. Is that, to Ed's point,
Right.
too much, too high, too low,
Yeah, on Pelican, this last year, Aviano and Ravenna Way were paved, like 6,300 linear feet, 158,000. But it's gonna be more than that on the Pelican Reserve, because it's less length, but 68 feet wide, 42 each
You have MOT at that point. I mean, we had some, not much MOT with the Ravenna, but this is definitely being your entrance to your community. You're gonna wanna make sure that there's
Yeah.
MOT.
I don't know that acronym.
Maintenance of traffic, like flaggers and.
Thank you.
Sorry,
Thank you.
always ask if you don't know what
No,
that,
that's
we love alphabet soup, so
Yeah.
please ask me, I'll spell it out.
Thank you for asking. Save me from asking.
Okay,
Great
anything
work.
else? Oh, yeah, this is fantastic. Thank you.
Let's start.
Great job, Jimmy.
Good.
And I will take you up on the offer to walk through the streets,
Yeah.
and I'll
Meeting
get
out.
caught up with the tech report as well.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Fiscal year 26 budget discussion. I just asked if we could put this into our package today because it changed a little bit from the last time we were here. As Ed mentioned, it went to PPAC, and then I didn't realize they'd gone to the board of supervisors and they approved it.
No.
No?
Not yet.
Okay, it was just
June sixth
June 6th. Okay,
is when we set the high water mark.
okay. So it was just the 300,000 that they approved? I thought somebody said that the board of supervisors approved.
They approved the FPL.
Oh, FPL. Okay. The memory's the first to go.
Do you guys want to blow up the numbers more, or do you want to
Can
keep
you
the?
see it?
I could.
So if there are any questions, we can go through the question. But
Basically, that was what you guys approved at your last meeting, but we upped the gatehouse repair and maintenance.
Right.
23,000 to go a little bit more for the arms and to keep the budget flat. Basically.
Yeah, so who said maybe install new arms and new equipment might be cheaper than maintaining it?
oh, yeah.
What we talked about.
The existing equipment is in end of life. And you
Right.
won't be able to get parts for it.
Right, that's exactly what you said, right?
Mhm.
And we're going through the same issue over at Stony Brook. They're talking about ripping everything out and putting in new instead of band-aiding what's there. So you guys aren't alone in this.
Yeah,
So the
okay.
bottom line total is 100,000 more than last year. That's due to the 400,000 from the roads, but PPAC is going to offset that 100,000 with the capital reserves to keep the safety and security flat for assessment purposes.
And all of those offsets that PPAC has suggested, Laura's aware of those.
Yeah, they're in, she's got them down. at the
Okay,
bottom.
perfect.
Yeah. And Chelsea, is the intent to move all the GIS into one under the admin?
Yes, under the shared admin, so shared with utilities and everybody, yes. Right now, this GIS web portal, that GIS web portal is your public facing Passarella.
Any other questions, comments? All right,
Will we
terrific,
have
thank you.
a special meeting to discuss budget or just at our regular meetings like this?
That's all right.
Yep.
So
You can
once,
check- Oh,
sorry,
no, I was just gonna say, you can also check the PPAC and board of supervisors. According to their meeting that they discussed.
so once the board sets the high water mark, well, the plan is to hopefully have it set on the June 5th meeting. It has to be done by June 15th at the latest. From that point on, all committees, all subcommittees, the board themselves, that's the high water mark. You can only come down from there. So most of the time it's set high, and then we start to get into the nitty gritty of the specifics of the individual line items and say, hey, can we cut back costs here? Or, is this a project that we want to do this year? Or can we kick it to next year? Those conversations. August 15th, D-Day. That's it.
Got it.
So every board meeting between now through August, we have a budget discussion, and we do the same thing with all of the committees and subcommittees. Now, if you guys have ironed it out and you're done and you don't want to talk about it anymore, we don't have to put it on your agenda. It's totally your purview.
And just to give everybody, if you go back a couple of years, safety and security was the last committee that really got broken out from the rest of things. And so last year was really the first safety and security budget that was broken out. And what we've done last year, we kept all the committees flat, their budgets flat, so we could see where they're really following in. And you could see you had underspent your budget, $90,000 or $99,000 last year. And so you kept it flat for 25.
Got it.
And we'll see how we come in there. And so we're keeping it flat for 26. And some of that is just allowing to get the budget more true to actual so that there's less carry forward and stuff as we go forward. So
I know Laura can't even,
Collins, which is the oldest, is taking all the fat out of that. We're gonna have to start increasing there, but it's
and we can't even get history because Laura can't break out stuff from when Castle Group was sending in, okay, this month we spent, I'm making the number up, 100,000. But they didn't break it out because it was their responsibility really to tackle all that stuff, but that means we don't have history.
I have a question.
Yes.
Sometimes prevention doesn't work. So on capital projects reserve, we have nothing there. And it says new, S&S does not want, I can't read the rest of it.
To fund
To
this
fund
year.
this year. Can somebody explain to me why we don't want to have any reserve fund
I think I just mentioned that, so the point is to keep you guys flat.
flat?
And so, I mean, you have 99, pretty much that much in your reserves, right at 100,000 already.
Okay.
But PPAC has a pot of unassigned reserves, so a substantial amount of money, couple million dollars.
Because the reason I'm asking is what if we have a major, let's say Cat 7 hurricane this year? You know what I mean? I'm just looking ahead like, what if, That's all.
PPAC has you covered.
yeah, there's a couple things. PPAC has about $3 million in reserves, capital reserves, others. But some of this too is normally you would fund your capital projects, capital reserves, and you would fund the capital reserves. Well, on the Pelican side, Gateway, our capital projects are funded as line items in our operating budget. So you've got, 400 to roughly 300,000 in this year's budget. That's a capital project that would normally be paid, like your HOA would pay that out of capital reserves, but then you would fund the capital reserves so much each year. PPAC has traditionally done things as multi-year programs. The ponds has done multi-year programs, the whole backyard drainage.
Yeah, and all that,
Program
right?
was a multi-year, just to stretch it out and funded it rather than doing a big project out of capital reserves and funding capital reserves for a number of years. They just did a 5 or 6 year program and funded it out of their operating budget. And that's kind of what we're doing with the roads. It's multi-year program to resurface the roads and funding it without doing transactions to it from capital reserves.
So let me ask a question. I think I already know the answer, but let me ask. We in Prado, I just got put on the board Tuesday. We're discussing these backyard drainage. Okay, so we're finding out that there's some places where Lennar installed the pipe that goes like this. Okay, we're finding out that there's some sand from the ponds that washed into the pipe that we someday in the future are going to have to clean out and spend our money to do this. Are there any available monies from any other organization for us to get to help with that? Probably not. Well, I thought the answer was, but I wanted to ask.
But it would be beneficial for having you talk to
Who?
Doug's answer.
I've already talked to him.
Oh, okay, good.
But I didn't ask him that question.
Okay.
All I know he told me was, even though it went from the pond into your pipe, you cannot push it from your pipe back into the pond. It has to be taken out with a truck and then it has to go to a special landfill, and then it has to be permitted. He was going on and on and on. I just said, "Oh, that's enough, that's enough." I don't need to know anymore now. Much, much, yeah.
Okay. Makes this look easy, huh?
Pardon?
That makes this look easy.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Anything else on 2026 budget? Okay,
No.
let's go to quick hits. All right, I'm getting there. All right. For Paul, what we do is we have a lot of different projects going on and we want to share status every meeting so that we keep up to date with what's going on. And these are projects we think we can do status in like 3 to 5 minutes.
Okay.
Anything more, we do a separate agenda item.
Okay.
Okay, first one is speed hump. I don't know.
We can take it.
Okay. Yeah, I don't want to be unfair to anybody who's brand new or anything like this. So, okay, speed hump.
So
Um,
Paul has reached back out to the engineering firm, FTE,
Mm-hmm.
and inquired if we can paint that and if we can paint it, what color,
Okay. Excellent.
being the engineer of record.
That's the one right out here.
Yes,
Right.
Right.
we're
Okay.
waiting on a response.
Okay. Thank you. I think we,
Stop.
okay, next one, I think we talked about already earlier in the meeting, but FPL lighting
Waiting
project.
on the contract from Eric. As soon as we receive it, we'll get it signed. He'll issue an invoice, we'll remit payment, and that will start on his side to put it through the process. We still have to find out from the city of Fort Myers if a permit is required. Which,
Okay.
knowing them, everything required.
How else are we gonna get money?
No,
They'll hit us with a code enforcement violation for not having a permit. That's how they get the money.
of course, they charge us for these permits.
Absolutely,
We pay for it,
Yes.
not FPL.
correct.
Okay, so
You pay for it as part of the project.
off record, having a hot water heater replaced in my home yesterday. They charged $350 for a Fort Myers permit. I went online and spoke to them at City of Fort Myers. It is $76, but I paid $350 the best
Yep,
to do it.
we pay the permits ourselves.
Okay, well, that's interesting. Okay, all right. Anything else on FPL? All right, traffic studies, equipment procurement and potential start dates.
Thank you. Rich Wilbur. After the Easter egg hunt, we found the monitors and ordered the parts that we couldn't ever find. Finally got them up and running. Well, we thought we had them running. One of the two had modem failures. Then after a week and a half, the second one, modem failed. Talked to the technical, folks at ATS, and they have the ability to see what I'm saying. They said, yes, this is all failed. It needs to be returned under our warranty and repaired. So they are currently being or have been repaired except for one. And in that particular case, somewhere along the way over the years, I don't have information to determine what that was and when. But one of the cases were dropped. And it had a very large dent in the side of it, but that happened to be the one that was working. So when they got it, they said they were surprised it was working because there was a split in the seam at the top of the box that covers the entire component that was giving water in it. So bottom line is that the new box needs to be replaced. I have an estimate and pictures. It's about $400 even to put a new box on that particular unit. All the technology, by the way, in these boxes are all current. So I did ask the question. I said, if we had to replace one of these, what would it be? It's over $3,000. So I said, well, let's go back to the $400. So, I am submitting a request, to have that box replaced on that $400. And they assure me that because the technology is current and so forth, that, now we've got the new cables, we've got the new batteries, that, we should be ready to operate, completely. So,
May I ask,
$400 is
may I
my,
ask a question?
yes, ma'am.
Do we own these pieces of equipment? We own them?
We own them and built into the fees of our warranty.
Yeah,
Okay,
we just pay a subscription for the software.
okay.
Any questions?
So I, submit this to Paul.
I was just gonna ask, do we need a motion to approve that expense? Okay, do I hear a motion to approve the expense?
I'll second that. That's
JP.
Thank you very much. And if
Okay.
anybody's interested, pictures.
Yeah, well, I thought, he's got pictures, so I was holding the vote until people could look at the
Oh,
pictures.
okay.
Yeah.
And you know, I wasn't at the last meeting, I don't know if the conversation came up of the short window that we were recording, one of the two signs, we did collect some data. But it's, oh, I
Oh,
thought it was.
I was, no, I was looking the pic,
Oh,
I thought we
we
had
had to
to
do that.
look at
Okay,
pictures
sure.
first
I just thought.
before we voted. I don't know, who it does.
The only thing I request as part of this is you make sure, we have their W-9 as part, so that way they're a vendor in our system.
Okay.
I don't, they may already be, I don't know.
We got approved, to have the written.
Purchase, we've already done purchases with it.
Yeah.
They're in then.
Yeah, and we pay that subscription every year.
No taxes on that.
Any taxes?
So no tax on it.
No, it's got look.
Yeah, quote total 400, list price total.
And
Okay.
So yeah, you can send that to Paul and he can put together the PO and work through.
All right. Just one more second for the recording. We're still looking at pictures. Everybody's showing, okay. All right, are we ready for voting? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, thank you. All right, auto drainage. Oh, I'm sorry, yes, absolutely.
TMI, but significant. We did have a week and a half of data, one monitor is posted to, but you will not be surprised by my comment that that period of time was not statistically significant. So, even though I have data, I'm not going to finish it. So once we get this thing up and running, I do want to ask, our chair about having some input on by priority around the community where the perceived issues are with whatever the traffic violations might be. We do have the police officers from the city that are still doing service for us. I have each of the reports by day. And I even I started a spreadsheet to see where the most common, didn't take very long to find it was speed limits, stop signs. But we do have increased instances of reporting of carts not complying, not carrying their license. They be reminded that they need to be carrying their license and insurance and in the little box up on the cart so that they are ever stopped and have those for your side of the vehicle. And we now have an issue where we have stopped bicycles and a couple electric bicycles. They just blow through the intersections, even though they're in the bike lane. So I've got that data recorded, and so maybe someday we'll get into that. But with regards to locations that we need to prioritize, how you want to move forward, how we work with whatever, just let me know how I can help.
Okay, well, that might be a really good agenda.
They're usually 8 to 12.
8 AM to 12 noon.
Yeah, actually,
Wait, are we talking about the same thing?
hold on,
Wait.
well,
Aren't we still talking about the signage for the, traffic studies? So that's
no, I
24.
was not about signage, I was talking about, the violation.
Yeah, yeah,
warning,
yeah.
Whatever.
Right, but isn't that 24/7? That's not eight.
Police officers.
No, he asked what time the police officer.
Oh, okay, I didn't hear
They're
police
24 hours.
officers, and so I missed that.
They're here for 4
Yeah, my
hours.
memory, my
and,
hearing, you know,
it's
it's all,
usually in the AM.
yeah.
Every single one of them, 7 to 11. 8 to 12.
Eight's too late.
I recall these, okay,
Everybody's already blown through the stop signs
well, especially.
on their way to work and everything else.
Um,
All the
we
way up
have
to
a
the
proposed
golf
mate that
course.
I can pass on to the
Yeah.
our officer coordinator.
Yeah, what are the possibilities? I mean, I don't know what the possibilities are in terms
Well,
of.
they all volunteer for this, we pay them handsomely, but, it is a volunteer basis, and there are about 5 officers, not always all 5 each month, so there's not a whole lot of volunteerism for this. Though I've met most of them, they love doing it, they love being of service, they don't like giving out tickets, they stop people having a conversation, verbal, when possible. But,
Well, are there any rules or restrictions to ask them to have a shift earlier?
no, I have great rapport with them, awesome point blank.
Be willing to do it.
I sound point
Okay,
blank.
well, I just wanted to make sure.
That is a normal shift, so.
Right.
That they do, roll call.
Okay,
Let me ask, I'm happy to do that, that's.
that would be great.
It might be interesting too to see everything in a late afternoon at around happy. Do we want
Happy.
to open
Well,
it?
I actually do have a case, but I'm gonna keep it to myself. It was alcohol related, no driver's license, blowing through a stop sign, all in one case.
It was a resident.
It's a resident.
Doesn't
Did the
swing.
person get a ticket?
Oh, they did,
Good.
$250.
Do you have, all the stats on tickets they issue, or I would love to see that.
You got,
You can share that.
You can submit them as part of the agenda for each
Oh,
month. You cannot communicate with each other outside of a
Right.
meeting.
No, I understand that, I just like to see.
yeah,
it.
I knew you knew.
I've got each one of the cards, which Jennifer and I directed, redone, because they didn't even have a car on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, we got golf carts, bikes, verbal written warnings. So on and so forth, citations issued, and what the actual code was.
Have they ever cited a bike or a golf cart?
No, they've
Cited, not
they've
warned.
stopped, no, they've stopped and they give them a verbal.
Oh.
So far,
Tell you that what we can't control, but I wish we could, is people who go on Facebook and say, everybody, watch out. Cops are right now on the corner of this and that. I just find that so counterproductive to our goal.
yeah, and every once in a while
But
I'll
we
call
can't control it.
my
Well,
contact and
Not
say,
because
Haven't
people
moved.
slow down,
Well, that's
which
the
is,
goal.
which is the point in the first place.
I'd rather see people.
we have right
I
now
get what you're saying.
Cypress Grove, Carina, Cypress Grove, Matarita, Pelican Preserve Boulevard, stop sign, Cypress Grove, Pelican Preserve, Anita, Anita Drive, Chenza, Trieste, the big one. They get,
Huge.
they get 5 to 8, warnings. So, well, we have to ask those questions and
Is there any way we can urge them to cite rather than warn?
You can ask, you can ask.
Hmm?
That you can ask, but they have the boss that they answer to. We've had that same issue on the Gateway side. We want the sheriff to issue tickets. We can ask them to, but it's up to the deputy at the time of writing the ticket. We can strongly encourage them to write the tickets, but it's up to them.
some of you may not get it. I went through the Civilian Police Academy.
Yeah.
So I have a very clear understanding of their policing policy and why. Whether I agree or not, that's the story, but they're very, very particular about customer service, creating awareness, giving them warnings. Their mere presence does have an impact. statistically. Sophomore effect, when they see it, they pay attention. But I have a great report for the service charges program. Matter of fact, it's rare that I make a phone call to him, you have to be calling him direct. And he can be in the middle of moving swing set, he picks up the phone. So he's very, very helpful. Oh, you'd be surprised, he thinks he's doing when I call him. Once I don't work.
Thing you could consider too, I mean, you seem to have a growing problem with traffic problems. Is what a more frequent appearance or, be helpful in some of that is something for you guys to consider. We may not have the budget for it, but you're definitely underspending your budget in other areas that, I think the budget's like $10,000 or $12,000 that, we could find another $10,000 or $12,000 in the budget somewhere if
Yeah,
increasing the presence would be potentially helpful.
yeah, the first few weeks I brought that up and I started doing my little graph and, not graph, but list, spreadsheet list and sorting. And the budget was the first thing that came up. As is, we already increased our rate, but last year, I think this year.
It was this year.
So from my
January.
perspective, I would love to see, and I like the idea about the different times. Actually, I already had that conversation, but again, it's a volunteer, maybe for the officers. But I like to use that.
Thank you.
Is it now the time to ask a question about traffic issues?
Sure.
Can somebody tell me, whoever ran over the stop sign out front, did they catch the person?
Oh, yeah, I get,
I'll say who did it.
I get the police report as well as the gate report. You as well?
I haven't
Am I the only
gotten,
one? I shouldn't be the only one.
I haven't been getting
You probably
any.
get the gateway incident. Yeah, and by the way, it was pronto. I mean, that sign was down the afternoon, it was
Came
up
back
the next day.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Pretty amazing.
The yes, it's
We got a good team.
definitely a problem. So that was.
So they put this new stop sign up already?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that's
Wow,
fine.
haven't been done that way.
We put
Oh,
a,
great.
we put a temp sign up and we'll put up, we're working with the, working on the fancy sign, but we got a temp sign.
Okay,
presume
thank you.
They pay for that, whoever.
We are pursuing them, their insurance. We're gonna go after them, yes.
So was it a resident or a vendor?
Yeah,
Rather. A bee was in their vehicle and they
Ooh.
plotted and swerved and knocked the sign, so.
How did you swerve over
Uh,
this? It was a resident?
I have a stupid.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So when you're coming down Pelican Preserve Boulevard, that first intersection at Trieste,
yes.
there's a stop sign on the right-hand side of the road.
Yeah.
And on the median.
Right.
And why is it when you continue down Pelican Preserve, you no longer see the stop signs on the median? They're only on the right side.
My only comment is that in years past, I had a sign that I wanted to put up on the highway and in a development for a university I was working for. And there are only allowed signs with so much distance and only certain types of signs and certain distances. So my second thought is that that's a pretty strategic spot where I don't know why that would apply, but
We'll look up the manual of uniform traffic control devices, MUTCD, codes. We'll have staff look it up and have an answer for your next meeting.
Same observation for cyclists.
Okay.
On the right-hand side of the road, there's on the median, there's no stop signs on the median.
Oh, isn't there a Cypress? Sure.
And at Cypress, you have a stop sign when you go heading towards the rotary.
Yeah.
Only on the right-hand side of the road, there was no stop sign on the median.
it's true.
I'm not sure the stop sign's working.
Stop traffic, please.
You know, as
It's a nice
here, I just look at consistency. I think that they added the one at Trees because everybody go through that stop sign.
Yeah. Are there stop signs still being replaced with the updated reflectors?
Yes. Mark's got a plan.
That's all I have. That's no question.
Excellent.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Anything else? All right. Should we move on to Prado drainage? Apparently 7 locations have been completed using internal resources, so that's fantastic. And any future ones, I think what we've been talking about, at least in the background, so I'd like to share it with the team to see what you all think is. At one point, we were gonna hold off on this a little bit when we thought contractors were gonna do it. And we were gonna wait till the rainy season so we could actually see what was actually going on. There's a little push from a few people in Prado to do more. So,
That's not me yet.
no, it's not him yet. but
Not yet.
It was a resident who's not here. And what I just responded back was, we're gonna wait and see how these work out. We're gonna wait till the rainy season comes so we can see where it really needs to be done. And slimy sidewalk, I didn't say this in the email, but slimy sidewalks may not be indicative of where we need to have flumes put or something like that. That's a whole different story. That's cleaning up the sidewalks. So we're gonna wait till the rainy season. And I kind of did that unilaterally because somebody was a little persistent, which is fine. So anyway, just wanted to share that with you, and I can always change my mind if you say, no, that doesn't make sense because of whatever. So.
I think
You
that,
know,
Okay.
I think that's a wise move because we have issues all over the place. Everybody's always concerned about the one right in front of their house.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there may be ones a lot worse other places.
You're right.
Right, and I also told this resident that there are places outside of Prado that have the same issue, so we're trying to,
Yeah.
Right.
okay.
Jennifer,
Well, then
I
that's
have that big bulk cart that's right there, that big
Uh-huh.
road. Put your boots on, I'll come and get you after it starts raining.
Okay, thank you.
So that was the staff observation that, yes, they're everywhere in the community. And once you open Pandora's box, you can't really put it back in. But also if the irrigation, there's a lot of overspray of irrigation that's going onto sidewalks, which could be contributing to this. So if you could work with your HOAs on either making sure that we're not irrigating the sidewalk, but irrigating the grass.
And if in Prado, any of you see that happening, give me a call or a text or an email, and I'm working with the Mariscape every day now. I'll make sure that gets fixed. Got a question. Just last week, or maybe a week and a half ago, I started getting all these emails about all these different issues. The stop sign was one, the sidewalk, needing drainage was another. Then I read the one, it's the lady across the street from me. It needs taken care of. It's been taken care of. Does anybody go back and comment that this project's been taken care of to remove it?
From like. see-
I'll show you after the meeting, because I don't want to take up too
We
much
don't-
of the meeting, but
Well, just,
I'll show you
because-
after the meeting. I get these
Well-
emails.
we might need to do it during the meeting. So you look, because it sounds like Secret Fix, which I get as well. And I didn't know you were on the,
if it was on C-Click, if the person initiated it on C, they're gonna see.
they're gonna
a
see it.
completion notice addressed to them, but if they didn't initiate it, it was initiated, say, by this board, and it's a greater project, the specific owner who is having an issue isn't gonna see a completion notice.
Right, but JP said he was getting the emails.
You're
But
probably
that's
on
an
the
overage.
distribution list of the
Okay.
C-Click Fix.
So I don't have to do
No,
anything.
staff
I just
handles it.
read them. But I just want to make note that the lady across the street that said her sidewalk was bad shape, mold, slippery, it was. But somebody did install the concrete pad they talked about. It is installed and it's draining and it's fine. I'm like, well, okay, does anybody go back and say, this has been completed and delete that
Tell them to
email?
look out the window.
No,
Well, I
she's
think
not
it's a different
complaining. I'm the one. asking. No.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, because it's a workflow type thing. So if the project has been completed, they should be going in saying this ticket is on foot.
Correct.
That's what you're
That's
saying.
all I'm doing.
I don't know whether there's a difference. And, okay, maybe one conversation.
See me after and let me look at the
Okay.
email.
All right, let
Probably,
me try to find it.
we can talk after that.
Okay,
So, no, the lady has nothing to do. This is just me saying, well, does anybody ever delete this after it's done?
all right,
Okay, go ahead.
all right. Prado, are we done with Prado drainage? Everybody following what's going on? Everybody's okay with the approach I
Never will.
created? Okay, with help from Chelsea and I don't know, maybe you helped.
Paul,
Yes.
North, yeah.
Lots of people on the copy, so I don't know who all contributed. Okay, Gatehouse Wiser. We talked a little bit about this, status of report distribution. Maybe we need to do a little review, because I thought I was supposed to get some of those reports. I'm not getting anything.
Yeah, because I'm reading them and sometimes, April, right? He would have called me. Did you see this? Yeah. And, well, I was an FYI, not that I need to do something.
No, I think it was.
It's a follow up with them or something like that.
Yeah.
Get fixed.
Okay, but you're seeing that. You're seeing the incident reports. Are you seeing the rover reports?
In the beginning I did, but I haven't in a long time.
Okay.
You're saying incident, but not Rover. And are you?
I did in the beginning.
You're the
He should be-
designated person for it?
Yeah.
And should I be doing something? Have it as a.
I would
I
say,
think it, yeah, go ahead.
I would suggest
Idea.
he do, if he's getting reports, that he submit a Granicus agenda item monthly, that way the whole committee could see them.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
And then that way they're public record, everybody.
Right, and then we can determine as a group, maybe we need to do something with, you know, if we see a,
Consistency or something. Yeah, the big thing.
Well,
is
it's
people
been-
running over the gates.
right. Or if there's something else that we're not already taking care of, that maybe
Right.
we have a project or something. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Aviano and Ravenna paving. We're pretty much done, aren't we?
Just, and the mailbox was replaced.
Oh, good.
For this week, right?
I think so.
And this week, it's done, so we're completely done.
Okay. Were signs signs at the roundabout supposed to be part of that project? No, okay. And I think there's something on here about that later on the agenda, so we can talk about it. Because I got an email from a couple people there. They love the pavement. They say it's beautiful. They're really happy with it. They just want the signs at the roundabout. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. So good job to everybody working on that one. Okay, Azure and Cypress Grove. Tetra Tech, there's a request to Tetra Tech to provide various options and pricing for that intersection. Do we have any
So
feedback?
this is the crosswalk conflict with the golf cart crossing?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so, we approached Tetra Tech, they gave us an astronomical number because it would be from a different city, somebody that they had to pull in. So I had reached out to, another local company that I'd worked with in the past. They're too busy right now. And then I reached out to, Justin Reck, who worked for FTE, Florida Transportation Engineers. He was actually our main point of contact like a year and a half, 2 years ago. He's moved companies, but we had a meeting with him and his boss to go over this and the visibility concerns of the preserve.
Okay,
So if there are any other minor roadway traffic projects, I just need a little bit more detail from this group. That way Justin can give us a true proposal to assist us with that.
oh, terrific.
So,
Mr. J. Gann, I've got a thought on it. Maybe we get some data from police stops, having right there at Azura and Cypress Grove. People coming over that little hump, that was one of the main concerns about going too fast.
One of the signs we had up, at least one of the two that was working was just inside.
Okay.
So we knew what their speed was coming over the bridge. And we knew what the
Yeah,
speed
little
was
bridge,
as they
sure.
were coming from Lazo.
Okay.
But we could readjust the locations.
that would be some good information to give the firm.
And the reports, speaking of reports, I get the ones from our guys that we pay. Through Public Information Office, we can get other reports. So I can go down that avenue.
That would be
Can the
very.
police stage?
And what's interesting is I don't have a rapport with the county, but apparently through the public information resource, you can get it from them too. I just work with the city.
What's the
What my
city?
city is.
From city. What I'm saying is that, if you're on Cypress Grove heading west, there's a lane there that you sit and watch people come over that little ridge for speed. Because that's been one of the original complaints was sometimes they pop over that ridge when you're starting to do the crosswalk.
I got you.
And I can orient you on that. To be some data for
Yeah, that would be good.
Um,
that
Yeah.
intersection.
Chelsea, that stretch has several issues. There's the golf course there's cars crossing at, kind of at the pump house up there. But there's visibility with landscape visibility there. So and the golf carts tend to go out on the Cypress Grove at Azura and go down the street. They don't use the golf cart crossing at Azura to the cart path. There's just multiple things that, we had talked a year and a half ago about maybe putting golf cart symbols on the crossing to try to get golf carts to actually use the cart path rather than going out and using Cypress Road. And you got the hill and you've got the pedestrian crosswalk.
Yeah.
There's been
There's
a
going on.
lot of issues there for a long time, but you've got one individual in Missouri that can't walk very fast and they try to take their dog across the park. And they requested something there because everybody comes down there and doesn't slow down.
Yeah.
I need a point person with this for the specifics, and then, I mean, what we would be asking of these engineers is either speed calming, signage, but signage is a moot point unless you have enforcement. So, but, I mean, if there are other, like a speed hump, that the Benito speed hump was a suggestion that they had, or a raised chicane is another option, but, those are the answers that you're gonna get from this engineering firm. So that's what they need. They need to know what the issue is in order to provide recommendations, multiple options for you all. So I had that, and then I didn't have, I thought I knew where the visibility issue was in the conservation area along the path, but if there can be a designated rep to work with me on that, or Paul and I, we can get that rolling and get a proposal from FT, or not FT, but from Justin and his new company.
And the visibility and the preserve, I personally don't like the idea of putting up a lot of mirrors and stuff, but on the south side, there's some speed bumps. Speed bumps, and I don't know if that would be a option on the other side to slow people down at the curves, or whatever. I mean, you're in a preserve, putting up mirrors and stuff,
I just worry
I'm
about
not in favor.
reflections and brush fires.
well, it doesn't go with the preserved nature of the, so I don't know.
Jennifer,
Okay, yeah,
Can I make a few comments?
sure.
When you go from here down Pelican, make a left on Cypress, and you go up what I call Pelican Mountain. You guys will call it the hill. I call it Pelican Mountain. It's like the biggest mountain we have in Pelican. So when you go over that mountain, okay, there's a sign right there. Okay, and from that sign down to the edge of the street of Aviano, it's 40 pieces of sidewalk. In other words, 40 times 4 feet is 160 feet is all it is, okay?
You saying Azura or you said Aviano? That's fine.
It's a Zorro, right?
Yeah.
Zorro. Okay, so that's point number one. It's only 160 feet. So when you come up over that, you don't have a lot of room if somebody's thinking about putting a stop sign down there, which I'm not in favor of, okay? And second thing is, when you drive around that community, there's only 40 houses. So I'm just thinking maybe we can come up with other ways, but putting a stop sign there, I don't think is a good idea.
City would,
Yeah, I don't think, I know
and it's not for cars, it's pedestrian crossing.
I understand. So
Okay,
I was thinking maybe we could move the pedestrian crossing to the other side. So it gives you another 20 or 30 feet. But whatever, I'm just telling you my observations. I spent an hour over there one day looking at all that.
Neat thought.
It used to
Yeah,
have
that seems like
the stand sign in the middle of
right.
that said,
Right.
for pedestrians, whatever.
In front.
And those guys, they were there when we moved in, and they were there for a long time, and and they got money in it.
Yeah, we voted to.
Yeah,
Keep them.
but the cheapest thing, the easiest would just be to
I agree with
those
you.
back up.
I totally agree.
Just needs a little bit of signage to alert people a little sooner, a little better.
Okay, well, there's a lot going on at that intersection. So is there yeah, we need a point person. So would somebody like the team like to volunteer to be the point person?
Oh, other than this, I guess I'm nice with.
Okay,
Thanks, Jay.
okay.
Jason.
And then, yeah,
So that
And
is
then-
for the Cypress Grove
Right.
issue, and then, I'll need some more specifics regarding the conservation. If there's like specific areas, or if we just wanna say, hey, check from point A to point B, this is the concern.
You're the one that got. I was. That's correct.
would you like?
I
to
like the
talk about that?
mirrors. So I can see around the corner.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
you
but you
can
know
help
the
the committee,
location.
but
I don't,
yeah, Daniel actually was the one who brought this to the team. And I don't know whether he was getting it
I
from,
think
Some
it
people.
came from Marty, cause.
oh, came from Marty? Okay,
I did.
okay. Would you like to help by putting together this, I don't know, proposal or list of concerns or things that we would like, Justin and his new company? Okay, thank you.
Which is the location? How's that described here?
And the location is when you come off Pelican Preserve Boulevard, you head into the preserve, not towards the boardwalk, but the other path. You
Okay.
have an S.
Oh,
that
yeah.
Goes in there. When you start from S, it's got a right here. When you come out of the S, it's got nothing.
Okay.
I'd have to look, I don't know. Okay, thank you.
You got my email. Send me that.
Okay?
All right. Okay, let's see, where are we here? We're down at FMPD status, which I think we talked about already, correct? Anything else you'd like to add? Yeah. FMPD status? Okay. Okay, that's okay. I'm just going through the list. I just didn't know if there was anything else. Broken pavers, these are the broken pavers. Timo agreed to fix Matarita 2, but there's also some broken pavers on Casella, and I think we were checking to see would they fix those as well. Excuse me.
That would
I
not,
I did reach out to the vendor. I emailed them. I called them, and I know Nathan had a string of contacts. So he's been very non-responsive. So we're gonna see if we just find the papers ourselves at this point
Okay,
and replace them. But to try to match that color will be the challenge for us.
Reported these at Casella and what the location is?
I'd have to go back and look. I don't
Yeah,
know who it was. It was, it was a resident.
A year and a half ago.
No, it was recent, a resident reported it. I can go back and look in emails. I don't know off the top of my head. Okay,
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
There's been a lot of
So-
work to try to get contact, but
part of the proposal a year and a half ago, they should have identified the specific paper type, so we'll have to pull that information.
okay.
okay, now
And
that
they
was
also
for,
replaced some at the same time, they replaced a bunch. Need the spec, and I can give you the old file on it. It was done through QuickFix, I think. And it was, right at the pool, outside the pool at Casella.
Okay.
They did a few.
Yes, if you have the specification, oh,
Want me to
we'll get
send
it.
you?
We'll look. You can send
Yeah,
it CC
yeah.
if you want,
Okay.
but we'll look in our files anyway.
okay. Anything else on that? Oh, Timo, not Timo, Matarita, did that get fixed? Or is it, or are you still having, your status was just for Casella or was it also for Matarita?
I think there was a couple of pavers. There was one on, I think, the main boulevard as well.
Okay,
We'll follow up.
Yeah.
thank you. Anything on product?
As we discussed the last couple of months, here's the pictures. Again, I'd ask that people take a drive on their golf carts or whatever around Matarita 2, Matarita 1 and 2. And then sooner or later, we have to get a proposal to get this striping done, get it fixed, make it look a lot better and safer. The other thing we discussed at the last meeting is when you're coming off of Cypress and you're heading down toward Prado, you have two lanes at the Prado roundabout. On the right side, you have an arrow going to the right. I really believe that on the left side, we need one of those that go like this, so that you know to be in the left lane if you're gonna go either straight on Prado or make a left on Prado.
This
So
one?
I think you're
that's
really
all.
talking about
That we
Prado
need
to
that,
Prado.
yeah, we need that sign up there.
You're talking about Prado to Prado.
Right.
The story.
Right.
Okay, I
Where
think
was
I'm
Chloe
thinking
at?
about.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
This one?
That's Casella.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, go backwards, go that way.
Other way.
Okay, keep going, keep going.
Prado?
Up Prado.
Up Prado would be
Yeah.
there.
that's
This
Prado.
one. Prado to Prado, gotcha, my God.
Yeah,
Uh,
okay. That doesn't look right.
Oh.
That doesn't look right.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. No, it's not it.
That's part of-
It's not it. Oh, maybe it is.
Prado?
Yeah,
This
that's
one,
right. That's right.
Still
And there's
okay.
Rezo, yeah.
Right, see how you have those
Yeah.
arrows on the right side?
Right.
Okay, on the left side, right up there, we need that one sign you showed us a minute ago
Yeah,
with a dot and the arrow going this way. Because everybody gets in that right lane to go around straight and then go straight to Prado. We need a little sign on the top there that shows you that's the lane you need to be in if you're gonna go straight to Prado or if you're gonna go around that way to Prado. That's just my
The
thoughts.
right technically is for Pistoia, technically.
Right, technically, but people don't know that. People, you know, cutting other people off.
Yeah, it's really
I've
bad.
had to stop a couple times. Okay, go ahead.
Is
Yeah,
there
I do
room
that
for
too.
two
Yeah.
cars to go around that lane?
not really.
No, no,
Not
No.
really, but
there isn't. So what point would that other sign make?
So no matter what, we would have to have Justin's team review this
okay.
and then have them make an engineering recommendation. So this was
So-
most likely approved as part of the development. And that's why it is the way it is. Unless we have changed it since it was constructed by the developer.
Like if you were in the left-hand lane there
Mhm.
and you wanted to go straight, you'd have
Yeah.
to cut off the car that's in the right hand. lane.
See, these people could go this
I
way.
just let the right hand lane
The
have the
sign
right
I
of
was
way. I don't-
suggesting
I
up
don't have
here
People there.
to go this way or this way, but like you're right, this is not wide enough.
So, yeah.
You know,
Right.
this is not wide enough to be able to do what I'm saying, but
The guy in the right lane should.
Well,
I mean, basically, you're taking two lanes into one, so
Yeah.
what are you gonna
basically,
do?
right.
what you need, what first you need to go back and actually merge
Yeah.
everything into one lane. to go.
Right.
Yeah,
That'd be the,
that'd be the safest.
then you'd have to
Good sign.
get rid of the roundabout. You'd have to take Cradle Boulevard down to one lane there, going into the roundabout.
Well, maybe that's the question we need to ask Justin and his new company, and that is, this is the issue. What is his recommendation for the best solution? Because we've talked through X, Y, Z.
I
Okay,
mean,
There's enough room for two cars.
exactly.
So-
You kind of
Okay.
have this more of an issue here than it is on the.
Yeah, it's much more orderly in that first one. Okay,
But city,
yeah, well. Okay, anything else on the striping? All right,
Oh,
So maybe next month we can talk about getting proposals. Or we have. to
well,
wait
we
till
have,
engineer-
yeah, I think the first step is to say, here are the issues. What would your recommendation be? Because they deal with this all the time, so maybe the merge is the right idea, maybe.
The first thing is
Some
we
best
have to get
practices.
these 3 projects identified and details sent to Justin. They'll put together a price proposal to give us recommendations. That'll come back to you at your next meeting for approval. And then from that point on, he'll put together a report and we can bring it back.
And do you have enough information for that, or do
I
you
do.
need some?
Oh, when Marty sends me that, I'll have, and then I'll work with Jay on all of the multiple issues at Cypress and Missouri, and then
You have all hit.
I had a brief call with Justin and his boss to explain what I thought to be the issues, and we may have a follow-up, Jay, with them.
Okay, terrific, thank you. All right, let's move on to Aviano signage.
I wish I'd had time to post so everybody could see the pictures. Aviano, I had a resident concern. I think these signs or lack of signs have been there for 15 years or whatever, a long time. First picture is Aviano traveling out to Trieste. Now, you can go both ways.
Jay, I'm trying to pull it up here on. So everybody can see here at this little island.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
The first,
Oh, I see the little.
See, people coming out from the north there, from the top, can go either way.
you don't know that.
There's no sign, stop signs there, but it's for the people on the left. Yeah, going that way. There's no sign here,
You have no way of knowing.
no way of knowing.
Okay,
So
one person at a time.
Two lane here. And this person decides to go this way. That person's coming there. There's no signage saying yield or anything. That was our concern here. Same way, when you come back this way, you can go here. You can go here. This one stops. She said she gets confused. I know, to me, it's obvious. Go there, but it's also possible. I don't know
They
what
have
the
the same.
traffic standards.
We had a similar problem in Prado back by.
That, they were back in the old gate.
And we put a lot of signage up there to direct it, so we made it something similar.
And I don't think down at the island, I'm not the island, but the cul-de-sac.
Sorry, I'm like all over the place.
So that one too is a bit of a concern, because there's no way to know that that's a two-way street. Is there a line down there? No, no, there's not, I don't, this is what it is.
We're gonna add these to the list with Justin. And then
Oh, I,
being that it was mentioned, sorry, Jay, I didn't mean to back here. This was a similar
That's it.
concern.
Yeah,
where's that?
It's got
Right, right,
a.
wrong.
yeah, the signage is really good back there,
So,
I think.
so
I don't know about my
It's
fellow
the
people.
yield sign here.
If you look at it, the sign is facing one direction and there's nothing on the other side of that sign, that's the reason I know which is the right way. That makes sense?
mhm.
And back at Aviano.
Mhm.
Cul-de-sac.
Because you first need to cut through there.
Here,
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't have a picture, I don't remember, but see people can go two ways around this way. Both, either way.
stop.
Maybe there was a sign.
There's stop sign here, but it looks like going out.
Or even a sign that says this is a two-way thoroughfare.
Add Aviano,
Just
both
so people
We should
know.
originally just
better get to the
One
right.
lane.
Aviano.
They kind of barrel up this.
Okay, did you want to add the back one, Prado?
No, I think Prado's pretty good.
I think we're
Yeah.
good back here.
Let me comment, go back to the earlier part of that one. First,
Oop.
the smaller little park that they have, they call it a park, believe it or not. That, okay, I mentioned this morning to Laura, who initiated this whole request in the first place. That maybe making that treated as if it were a circle, make just one of those rotary kind of signs that you. She said that the landscapers and other contractors use that road for staging. And you're talking, basically a little more than a single lane.
Well-
And in fact, they got a park.
Lauren needs to stop talking to everybody on the
Rather
committee
than
too.
a bunch of signs, would it make sense just to stripe that section of the road, put a center stripe?
It depends on the width of that
Yeah.
road. But that's, Justin can,
I was just gonna,
You know,
I've got that.
I mean, it's 2 lanes, so that
It's 22 feet 4 inches, which is a standard 2-lane. That's what the report says.
I mean, the big thing
There you go.
is direct, make traffic gaps out of the loop.
Yeah.
all right, well, let's see what the traffic experts are saying, and then we can go from
Rather
there,
than all signage striping like
right? Okay. All right, terrific, thank you.
Wow.
Let's see. Pressure washing, this was something we hadn't gotten to last time. And you may remember that Tony came to a couple of our meetings to talk about this. He went out and got some quotes. And these are some preliminary quotes. He's not proposing we do all of this at the same time. He wants us to talk about what kind of precedent we want to set and what our policy should be in terms of making sure all these pavers are cleaned. So these are the preliminary costs.
Bought the swirly papers.
Yeah, at the time, we were told that if they tried to use all the, I may not have all the technical terms right, but the sand that goes between the pavers would come up and it could hurt the foundation below it, that wasn't a good solution. So, and
That was money well spent. Never mind.
Is it
Yeah.
used for other things?
well, it's being used for sidewalks at the moment. Yeah. So anyway, I think our next steps are to take a look at this, have a little discussion about, do we want to take this on? Is this something that is our committee's responsibility versus the neighborhood's responsibility? If you recall for sidewalks, they're saying if it's a safety thing, we'll take care of it, but if it's cosmetic, that the neighborhoods would take care of it. Do we want to be consistent and do that with the pavers as well? How do we identify safety versus cosmetic? Tony was here in the last meeting very briefly, talked a little bit about mold and the safety associated with mold. We can talk about whether we think that that's an issue or not. So I think that's what's in front of our group right now. So do you guys want to have a discussion today? Do you want to have some time to take a look at these numbers and think about it? Go and take a look at the papers that he's outlined here with this company. This is the company, by the way, that cleaned the town center. Yeah, so he knew them, so that's where he got the quote from. That doesn't mean we have to use these people. We probably need to go through some kind of authorization, authorized thing anyway, but this was just to give us, a ballpark figure on what it might cost.
Can you share that with us so we can discuss it at the next meeting?
It's right here in the package.
Oh,
So a couple things. If you want to contract this out, you can. We do have staff, in-house staff. The swirly does have a pressure washing component of it. This cost up here does not include water. He's gonna need water. So that's gonna be an added cost to this. I would strongly recommend that if you do wish to pursue contracted services, we issue an ITQ. And then you identify exactly the locations that you're seeking. But historically, if it's cosmetic in nature, similar to the seal coating, we have not touched it.
Right.
So, but if mold is of a concern, anybody can submit a C-click fix ticket, staff will inspect, and if, just like with the sidewalks, we have gone out, there has been mold on sidewalks, we have addressed that, pressure washed that. Same could be said for pavers or other areas of the community.
Okay.
With the stock chemicals.
Stated that the swirly was made good.
We got the info from Daniel. I don't know whether it was his assessment or somebody else's.
Why don't you try it, see what happens?
We can absolutely try it. Yeah,
There's gotta be different settings you can use.
I don't know the details, but we can absolutely try it. Worst case scenario, we gotta buy some paver sand and put some paver sand back.
And not all paper sand's the same. Some will break cracks, but other types don't. I've just had my driveway and back area back when I was there, so it could be
All I know is it's confusing enough. Right now, we're trying to get neighborhoods to understand what their responsibility is for the aesthetic nature of the cleaning. And so if we start doing aesthetics for pavers, It is going to be super.
Yeah,
I'm not recommending.
that's why we need to talk about it.
Think through.
Okay, so here's something. Would you be able to, I don't know, do it, excuse me, do a test of some sort and see?
We could test an area.
Okay, and then, so that's number one. Number two, next meeting, how about if we talk a little bit about, or if we can do it right now, that's fine too. Do we want to be consistent? And say if it's a health issue or safety issue, yes, because I think health's kind of safety. We'll consider it, put in a C-clip fix, but cosmetics have to be done by the individual communities. Do we want to keep that policy the same? Is that something we're willing to talk about right now?
Yeah.
We've got
I
a few
don't
minutes.
right now.
I agree. I mean, we shouldn't touch cosmetics. That's so in the neighborhood. And I would think the evidence better, any kind of safety issues would be pretty limited. Could be handled individually.
I agree.
Do you have a specific location you'd like us to test, or do you want us to reach out to Tony? And do you have Tony's contact?
I can do that, but why don't we make that decision? Because I think we ought to do something that's more central to the, not central to the community, but not a neighborhood, because that might set some weird precedents. So I'd prefer to do something, is there an area in the front
So have these.
entrance? Okay, no, hold on a moment, just one moment. Let's do one thing at a time because I can't talk about 5 things at the same time. So is there an area at the front entrance where we can test that if it goes awry, it wouldn't be a big issue? Meaning it wouldn't cause any safety issues, et cetera. Is there like a corner somewhere that we might be able to do?
And then that corner will stand out.
I understand, but we'll, if you have a better idea of what we might be able to do with the test, that's okay. I'm just trying to think of where can we do a test where we weren't setting a
Four-way
precedent
stop.
at the 4-way stop.
Aren't there bricks there?
I don't
Go
know.
Through the four-way stop.
I'll leave there.
No, this is the main, is that the main one on Pelican Preserve Boulevard?
Yeah.
That actually makes sense. $1,500.
No, this is a test. This is a
Oh.
test.
Right.
Yeah, that's why I only want to talk about one thing at a time because we're all gonna get confused. Because this is it's nuanced. So this is for the test. I was proposing front gate. Does it make more sense to do a little corner of this?
Let us know.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
You're asking.
Yeah,
Front gate to me, whatever we do won't be as visible to the 4-way stop. If there's a section of 4-way stop that's been done, people stop there, they will see it. Front gate, people are breezing through. I would recommend front gate because it'd be less noticeable if it is so beautiful and everything else is. So past the gatehouse? Well, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree right there, that front gate area there. Yeah,
It could be.
or even right there, around there. Just do around, yeah, do that whole circle there.
well, do we want to do that much?
You don't need to do that much.
I mean, I'm just asking a question.
Carson. Right there.
Yeah, right where the security guys call this.
We can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, just where the cars are.
Yeah, okay.
Then we can look at it and see what we think.
Okay.
Now, you're not gonna do all the way across, you're just gonna do in the middle.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah, it's just a test to see, can they actually do it? Will it cause damage, et cetera?
As soon as it's done, Paul will send an email out to the community, or not to the community, oh dear.
That could
To
be fun.
the
Committee.
committee,
Yeah.
that it's done for you guys to go individually take a
Yeah,
gander at.
individually. Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
good.
That'd be great. All right, so that's the first thing. I think, okay, so the first thing is we are gonna do a test. The second thing was the proposal for, only safety concerns will be done by the committee and the GSCDD. All cosmetics will be done by the neighborhood. All right. Louis likes to take a vote on that, just to make sure everyone's had a chance to voice their opinions, pro, con, whatever. Would somebody like to make a proposal that, a motion rather, that this proposal, be our policy?
yeah, I'll make it in the form of a motion.
Okay.
that the individual communities take care of their own cosmetic issues.
Okay. And
Gateway.
take care of
Take care
safety.
of safety issues.
And people who think they have a safety issue should put in a C-click fix it.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Rich, second.
Okay. All in favor?
Uh,
Any opposed? Okay, so this one passes.
So can I make a comment?
Absolutely.
I find it very objectionable when you're gonna spend taxpayer dollars on outside vendors to do this work when it can be performed in-house.
That's why we're gonna do the test. Yeah. I understand. Okay.
So our employees will be doing the test.
Great.
We're using the machinery we already
Right.
have. Yeah.
Good, good.
All right. DC had a question about these areas. Yeah, I believe all of the 24, did you say it was 24?
Yeah, it says
25.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're identified.
they are. There's a backup to this, because I mean.
I don't have it, but yeah.
No, but no, the reason I ask is we're 32 communities and I just 31 or whatever. And I assume that only 25 are from the 30.
Maybe they don't all have papers? I don't know. I'd
I
have
don't
to
know.
ask Tony.
I'm just curious.
I don't know. I asked Tony, he said, yeah, we know where they are.
Okay, fine.
And then just to clarify, is that 42,000 over the 3 years or every year? Is that an annual cost?
It's an annual cost, I think.
Wow,
Three-year
it's
contract.
3-year contract pricing.
Wait,
That
let-
might mean that.
hold on, let's look at it. No, it's gotta be, because if you think about it, $1,500 for a four-way stop. Well, I don't know. Good question. I thought it was yearly. If all of it was done, it's one time, and that this pricing was good for 3 years, but. It's a little
So,
bit.
yeah, let's clarify, is that an annual? or
Okay, I'll
is that
clarify.
each step?
I can also suggest, that at Casella too, we recently used, a pressure cleaner company we hadn't used before in Naples. We were very pleased with that. And the pricing was very reasonable.
Well, I think what we were saying earlier is we're gonna do a test, and then we're gonna put out an ITQ, so
Okay.
if we decide to go external.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, let me check with Tony on your question. Okay, anything else on pressure cleaning? All right, thanks, everybody. We had one more item that we want to bring up, and that's the back gate. And Chelsea called it Prado cameras, but it really is the thing we were talking about earlier with the kid. If people don't know what this incident or incidents, because apparently it happened a couple times, residents have seen some kids riding their bikes on the golf course. There's a rumor that there was a ramp at one point. I've never seen the picture of that. It's all been on Facebook. People are talking about it. And so I guess some people think they're coming in via Prado. Is that right?
Yeah, we're waiting for the golf course or the resident to confirm exactly where that they came in. So I did email Faye back this morning that if we could identify exactly where, if it is the emergency access road, or if it's, I know Prado HOA has a gate somewhere in this vicinity. But we can work to better secure that. But maybe a year or so ago, this community started to discuss potentially putting a camera on the emergency access road. And I didn't know if that is something that we wanted to discuss again, and if so, we can get some proposals and find out what that would take to do that. I know at the time it was more of the license readers.
Yeah.
That we had talked about,
Right.
which we can do that, but that's not gonna catch a kid on a bike.
No.
So,
Or,
Well, how did,
or within 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I saw in Prado last year, 2 or 3 of those flying up and down Prado. I'm like,
like ATVs?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, what in the world was that?
All right.
So why isn't this issue being brought up to the Parks and Recreation Subcommittee over in Gateway for them to look at putting in a bike park or a skate park?
You're spending more money, right?
Well, they want to spend $570,000 on an atrium park.
you can bring that up to the Parks and Rec Subcommittee. You have a resident who is now a member of that, so you can feel free to reach out to him or attend that committee yourself.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, why?
So getting back to our question about a camera, I think we need to discuss that next meeting.
I definitely.
I mean, and who's gonna monitor this camera, the gatehouse?
We
Probably,
we
right.
would look to tie it into that system. I know we were looking at, dealing with that company for the cameras has been somewhat difficult. We use a completely different company on the gateway side, but there would be a substantial cost of upgrading the camera system. But we can reach out to the current vendor and get a price and see if they can, I know, beam it over like Wi-Fi. That's how we do it at the soccer complex. See if they offer that, and they may not even offer this, and this may be a moot point, and it may cost a lot more money than what we think.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, maybe since this time, the discussion was precipitated upon this, or as a result of these kids coming in, let's see where they're actually coming in from, because if they're not coming in
Yeah,
from
where
the
they coming
Prado
from.
entrance or the emergency entrance, this is all kind of moot. I mean, because I think about putting cameras there and having the people at the gatehouse monitor it. They have problems monitoring and talking to people and doing everything that they're trying to do at one time. And so they have priorities, and I can just see what's gonna happen if we add something else to their list of things to do simultaneously. If they miss something, you know.
Totally agree, because like if they're focusing on talking to a customer here at the
Yeah.
door and the camera shows somebody flying in on an ATV or a bicycle, they're not gonna see it.
Oh, and are they gonna fly through that gate? I mean, it's closed. I don't even understand how they get over that gate, to be honest, but we'll see what happens.
Drive out.
I know.
I have a feeling they're going around the gate, around the other side. See the golf course thing up there, top, the very top, right there. See, I think they're going right through that field, right through there and up to that golf course track up above. Straight up, yeah, right there, right there. I think somehow they're getting through there and getting on there.
Well, we're waiting to hear back. There's more
Yeah,
information.
so let's find
I
out.
just wanted to bring it to your attention so
Yeah,
we can have
Okay,
a conversation.
okay, moving right along. If we're done with Prado cameras, anything else that we'd like to talk about in this meeting before we adjourn?
Now, if everybody can just take a minute to ride around and look at all the striping before the next meeting.
Before you adjourn, I'd just like to recap to make sure I captured everything for your next agenda.
Okay. Next agenda. Let's see. I have to start at the beginning here if I'm gonna do that. Maybe other people can join in. I always like to have the quick hits.
Budget.
Budget would be good. Striping will be part of quick hits. Can we do that in 3 to 5 minutes? Do we need a separate?
Won't even take 3 minutes.
Okay.
If everybody does take a minute or two to drive around, I think that the discussion can be pretty quick.
Okay,
We have, the police reports or
I'll
the,
have a summary of the police reports. I'll have a summary of the citations.
you have George's contact information. You can get the agenda request form. Okay.
yeah, we had her send that out to everybody a couple meetings ago.
Yeah, I've got that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll come with that.
And I always send a new one every month for the quick hits, because I have a new backup.
Okay.
And
And then
what is the date of our next meeting? June?
Yeah, let's talk about that, and if anybody thinks they won't be able to be there, you could let us know.
What's your date?
26.
Looking it up.
June 26th,
Yes,
I'm pretty sure. I would-
11 a.m., right?
yes, 11 a.m.
Yeah. They're always, for the rest of the fiscal year, they're 11 to 1 in this room.
And then just the last, so I have the quick hits, budget, police reports / citations. And then, if we do have a follow-up update from Justin, the 4 items I have for that are the Cypress Azura issues, the Prado roundabout of the curve, the left lane turn, the visibility issues, I'm gonna wait on a response from Marty, and then the Aviano Islands.
I think that's it.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, anybody think they, oh, sorry?
Oh,
Okay,
I
yeah,
won't be here for the next two meetings.
okay. June and July. Anybody else not gonna be here next meeting? Okay, if by chance you find out during the month that you won't, please let Georgia know. Because if we don't have a quorum, we'll have to decide what we want to do.
Me, do we need for four?
7 on your committee, so you need 5.
Five, be five of us, right?
Hopefully.
4.
Four, you need four. Yeah, you need
Sorry, okay.
Be fine.
Too many fingers.
I was doing
We'll be
some
fine.
math.
And then, about, to touch on JP's, Mark was taking inventory, so hopefully we'll have an inventory list of the stop bars and crosswalks that need refreshing from him. And then maybe a proposal for thermo, but we have a striping machine. We could do it in-house ourselves with some paint. But if you guys wanted to go more permanent, we could look at contracting that out.
The question I would have is, what's the cost difference versus how long is this gonna last versus how long is this gonna last?
Cost benefit.
You know what I mean? Maybe it'd be better to spend more money if this is gonna last a lot longer.
Right,
And the other thing too is, and help me out, because I'm not a painting person here, but the reflectiveness of it.
Thermo is
You know,
better.
that's the issue we're having right now with those stupid black stripes where they had to black it out. You know, at night, when you're coming through there, you're like, which one's which here? So. I have pictures here. Anybody ever wants to see them?
Yes.
See, there's at night. See there, see how the black is stronger than the white? See? That's at night. So. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah,
And I will show you these emails.
Let's see, quick fix.
I know every year at President's Council, they usually take the months of July and August off and do not have a meeting, their June meeting and then the September meeting. I don't know if that's something that this committee wants to think of also.
Well, let's see, I'd like to keep meeting as long as we have a quorum and people are willing to come, because we've got a lot of stuff going on, and unlike the President's Council, the presidents can talk to each other between meetings.
Oh, that's true.
So I just find it's really hard to get anything done if we can't talk to people. Well, I mean, I'm not trying to criticize, it's just a point of fact.
Like Friday.
I wasn't there.
We can be
Okay.
here, let's be here.
Yeah, okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn our meeting? Rich is first. And did you have a second? Okay, JP second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right.